So this is Steve Zeltzer with Pacifica. There is an ongoing struggle in the Bay Area around gentrification, privatization, also attacks on longshore workers and on public schools and the Malcom X Academy in San Francisco. And journalist Anna Hennesey, who is with us this afternoon, has written about this connection between the billionaires and the community, the black community, and black workers. Welcome to Pacifica, Ann.
Thank you, Steve.
So you recently wrote an article connecting the dots around this issue. Can you talk about what that was about?
Sure. So that was specifically about the Fisher family, Doris Fisher, who is one of the founders of KIPP, and her children, Robert, John, and William, the way that they're using their money to dismantle basically the public school system in San Francisco and also to take public land in Oakland.
And how are they doing that?
Well, the Fishers have been supporting the charter movement in California. Doris Fisher is, she's a founder of KIPP Charter School, which is has a strong presence in San Francisco. And so by bolstering the charter system, they're actually taking money away from public education. This is a broader part and complex part of how the public school system is being defunded over the years and privatized from within by wealthy parents of PTAs. That the money has gone up considerably in the past 2 decades from PTA money. So we have a segregated school system in San Francisco. This is well known. And we have poorer communities with children of color not receiving the same amount of money in the public school system. And thus, the charters move in and they cherry pick students. And usually, like in the case of KIPP, these are children who come from low-income families, African American, Latino, and Pacific Islander. And they go to these charter schools, and then the charter schools continue to take money from SFUSD.
And also there's a connection with the longshoremen, the ILWU, and the threat to their livelihoods by the privatization of the Port of Oakland. What is that connection?
So that connection is John Fisher he's the head of a movement to turn the Port of Oakland into thousands of $1 million condos and other private property. That project is known as the Howard Terminal Project. He is also the owner of the A's, the Oakland A's, and he wants to create a new ballpark. And this would all be in a space that has not been privatized in the past.
And the local 10, the longshore, a large number of them the majority are African American. So it would seem that if the port is threatened, the viability of the port, their jobs would be threatened.
That's correct. So I think, as you know, what we often see with this privatization moves is that they affect communities of color, and in this case, yes, they're taking away the livelihood and the space of African Americans.
Okay, well, I want to thank you very much, Ann Hennesey, for joining us on Pacifica. And we've been talking about the privatization both of charter schools and the destruction, possibly, of the Malcom X Academy with the KIPP charter, and also the privatization of the Port of Oakland by John Fisher, who's part of the ownership of the Gap. And on both sides of the bay, black workers and poor working class students are being affected, and union families. So thanks for joining us on Pacifica.
Thank you, Steve.
And the reason we're going to be caravanning to the Oakland Coliseum is to shine a light on another form of systemic racism and oppression when the very wealthy, rich, come and take advantage of poor communities and buy up land at cheap prices to bolster their millions and billions of dollars while the poor people in the community continue to suffer at a disproportionate rate. And what I'm talking about is the proposed stadium for the Oakland A's here in Jack London Square here in West Oakland, which they want to, the Fisher family wants to purchase public land, not only in here in downtown Oakland, but at the old Oakland A's stadium site at the Coliseum, to build high-priced condos and to build recreation for the wealthy. When we have homeless people sleeping under bridges, we have people struggling because of COVID-19, we have an astronomical unemployment rate right now that we need to address. I don't think it's time for us to be, as a community, to even be considering building a playground for a ball team when we have all of these problems that need to be addressed financially here in our community.
And people, in part the port commissioners here at the Port of Oakland, who have made no mention of what a stadium on this space directly behind me, the Howard Terminal, will do to the viability, to the prosperity of this port, and the opportunity for jobs and retirement and benefits that the ILWU and the maritime industry provides for so many workers. We don't want to put a playground in the middle of an assembly line of services. Putting a stadium on the space directly behind me is a way of making this port a lesser gateway, a place where congestion and delays will force importers and exporters to take their freight, their containers, their opportunities to jobs and prosperity to other ports along the West Coast.
No to KIPP today!
No to KIPP today!
KIPP go away!
KIPP go away!
You don't want the charter, the KIPP school?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
Because I think that our school should stay up here because the teachers here and everybody else here, they care about like all the students here in the school, and I really think that KIPP shouldn't be up here.
My name's Gina Bissell. I've been teaching at Malcom X for 31 years.
Long time.
Yes, and I am a reading specialist there right now. And we found out on May 1st that the school board made a last-minute decision to give KIPP, the charter school, some space in our current school. So next school year, we will have TK, kindergarten and first grade from the KIPP Academy moving into our space at our school. We have to give up six classrooms and an office space and basically coexist together, and we are saying no. Our kids in the Bayview deserve way better than that, and we are here to fight the school board and let them know that it's not okay for them to pull this over our heads at the last minute the way they did.
And what would it mean for your school to have another school like a charter in that school?
It would disrupt our schedules, our curriculum, as far as a lot of the rooms that we use for interventions, for working with special needs kids, our music program. It would affect our after-school program, and so on. I mean, we have a lot of need for those rooms. We use every inch of the space in the school.
Hi, I'm Rahima Abdelhamid. I'm the literacy coach at Malcom X, and I've been there for 10 years.
And what's going on there?
Right now, well, public education is in a huge fight with charter schools and money, and so they're trying to co-locate our school and have another school come in, a KIPP come in, which KIPP is a school that can cherry pick kids. It decides which kids can stay and which kids can go, and will be fighting for space in our building. So we're trying to fight for that, and we're working so hard with our students and our families. We don't want to have that taken away from us.